In this episode, we're going to talk about the elusive big yellow binder, what it is, and why it's actually to our benefit that no one hands us one, even though we really want one. Plus, we'll share some strategies to help you manage all the competing priorities in your life so you can be successful everywhere. Let's get into it.
Road of life, yes, you own it. Let every mile bring a smile, yeah.
If you're like us, nobody handed you the entrepreneur's manual for success. You're figuring it all out as you go and doing the best that you can. And when you got married, Elvis definitely didn't toss you the how to be married manual. Both are tough roads to travel by themselves. Combine them, and you've got a road harder to travel than navigating your living room in the dark after the kids' Lego playdate. We've got you. If you're an entrepreneur who's building a business and feel like you're dropping some of the balls in your marriage, then you're in the right place.
We're Craig and Meredith, life partners, business partners, best friends, and relationship coaches, and you're listening to the Road of Life podcast, where we help you crack the code on having a thriving marriage to go along with your thriving business. You chose entrepreneurship to bring your ideas to the world. Live a life of purpose, impact, and full of freedom and fulfillment. And you don't have to sacrifice either your business or your marriage. You can absolutely have them both. So grab your earbuds. It's time to build a kick-ass marriage to match your kick-ass business. Welcome back to the Road of Life podcast. We're so excited you're here. This week, we're talking about the big yellow binder for life. I think maybe more context is required.
I think so. So when I was working in my corporate job, I had just started. It was like my first big job. I had other jobs out of university, but this was the one I was looking for. This was the big one. And on the first day I arrived, my boss was supposed to be there to kind of show me the ropes. And for whatever reason, he got held up somewhere else, and he wasn't there. It was just me coming into this new organization, kind of flying by the seat of my pants. And the operation lead for the site, he came in and he said, "I'm so glad you're here. It's great to have you. We've got a big meeting today, and we've got this big emergency response planning exercise to do," which is like a big deal for it was oil and gas industry. So it's a big deal because you have to be able to show the public that if in the event of an emergency, you can respond. And so he said, it's a big day, it's a big meeting. We've got the regulator, the government's gonna be there to evaluate us. They're gonna be there to see if we can actually meet our obligations. And I learned that it's really important because that government person can actually take your license to operate away. And it literally could cost you millions of dollars. So
Cost the business.
cost the business millions of dollars. Literally, they could take it away at any moment.
On your first day.
First day, so no pressure at all.
And you're the health and safety guy.
Yeah.
So kind of a big role in an emergency response exercise.
Correct. Yeah. So it's funny, like I was obviously sweating bullets knowing all of this, and I was so worried that I was gonna, on my first day, completely turn everything upside down, cost all these people their jobs, crater the company. Like everything was rolling through my mind. Obviously, you get
pressure.
You get that voice in your head, right? As the exercise is starting, I think some of the guys could tell that I was like
Sweating it.
nervous. And so one of them comes over, he's like, "Don't worry, this is not a big deal, we've got you." And he hands me this giant yellow binder. Like, I swear it was at least 8 inches thick. It was this giant thing. And he's like, "Everything you need to know for this is in this binder."
Look.
Thunk. Hands it to me. It's like, cool. What do I do with this? Like, if I wasn't nervous enough, now I'm looking at this giant yellow binder of information. And so I open it and it's just maps and phone numbers and procedures and just all kinds of stuff that I don't know what I'm doing with.
Might as well be Greek.
It might as well be a different language completely. So then the exercise starts, and he's right, it does help me out, and we go through the process, and they help me out. They help me to know what part of the binder I could look in and what to look for. And so I learned on the fly a little bit, and I learned a lot that day, which is great because in a story for another day, literally 4 months later, I would actually really need that leverage that knowledge and that binder for an actual real life blown up rig on fire. So maybe we'll talk about that another time. But the point of the story is that day I got handed a big yellow binder that helped me. Mm-hmm. But without someone to walk me through it, I didn't really know how to use it. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that's really important in life is that there actually really isn't even a big yellow binder. There isn't, you don't get handed a big yellow binder when you come out of the womb. Here's how you go through life.
No.
You don't get one at your 40th birthday. I thought I was going to, I did not. You don't get one when you get married. You don't get one when you start a business. There is no big yellow binder. No one is coming to give you, quote unquote, all the answers. Mm-mm. So I think it's just when that happened, when I reflected on what happened as we've embarked on this journey, it really got me thinking about the concept of having all the answers and being handed a big yellow binder. And I thought about it more, and I think it serves you to not have the big yellow binder. Mm-hmm. Because if someone handed you a big yellow binder, just like they did me, well, then you're going to follow that person's process, which
their path.
Right, which in that circumstance, in the emergency, that's a good thing, because that's what we want. We want that outcome that they got.
Right.
But in life, it's different. So if someone handed you a big yellow binder with all the answers for your business, for your marriage, for your life, it's not actually for yours, it's for theirs. Mm-hmm. And so it's actually a blessing, even though we're looking for all the answers, the how do we do this? I know we want it, but it's actually a good thing that we don't get it. Life is a choose your own adventure. You get to choose all of it, right? And if I was given Grant Cardone's yellow binder, I would follow Grant Cardone's path. But I'm not starting where Grant Cardone started necessarily. So I don't actually know if I'll get the same results or not. It's not built for me, it was built for him. Mm-hmm. So I think what's important is finding the nuggets that work for you out of the big yellow binder and applying those to your life.
Because there's principles that will apply. I don't want Grant Cardone's path, right? I don't know where he started. I don't necessarily know that I want to be where he ended. You know, financially it looks great, but I don't know what his life is actually like, and I don't know if I actually want his life.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily want his roadmap.
Yeah.
Or Alex Hormozy's, or Gary Vee, or anybody else.
Yeah.
But there are principles that they've applied.
Correct.
That would apply more broadly, whether that's in your business or in your marriage or in your health or in your life. And so the principles that exist, you use, and that's how you create your own roadmap.
Yeah, I think the key is like you don't want someone else's big yellow binder, but you'd love if someone helped you build your own.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Like,
I would love it if Alex and Leila Hormozy sat down and
helped you build your big yellow binder. You don't want their big yellow binder.
No.
Because their life is different than yours. Everything is different. But if they sat down with you, learned about you, understood who you were, where you're coming from, and where you want to go, and then ultimately helped you build your own big yellow binder, that's where the magic happens. A lot of people, when they get into marriage and business and life in general, they're looking for all the answers. Mm-hmm. They're looking for the how. And I think what we're saying is that there isn't somewhere where you're going to get all the answers. You're going to find some people who are willing to help you, the who, which is great. And you're going to get some of those nuggets, but it's imperative on you to understand, take it all in, evaluate it, and apply what works. Because what they're going to give you worked for them. Doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to work for you. Mm-hmm. So I think it's one of those things where we have to take responsibility and accountability for our own outcomes and listen to and take in all the information. But at some point you have to do some work on evaluating what's for you and what's not for you.
At some point there's going to be a level of trial and error.
Yeah.
Because if you start from somewhere that is not where you are, like if you start from where Gary Vee started from and tried to apply his roadmap, you end up taking longer time to get there. If you don't start from where you actually are, it's going to take you longer because you're going to end up somewhere. You're going to have to backtrack. You're going to have to restart. You're going to have to... Starting from not where you actually are, even if you're trying to take a shortcut, will take you longer. Yeah. So you need to start from where you are, apply the principles, and get the help where you can. And that will get you to where you want to be faster. Even though it might feel like it's taking a long time, because it always feels like it's taking a long time. It always
feels like it takes longer, always.
And I think the other part is, taking a step back and looking at what you want to accomplish, being super clear on where it is you're going and what you want to accomplish, and is it possible? Is it realistic? Has someone else done what you're trying to do? And chances are someone has done what you're trying to do, regardless of what kind of business it is, regardless of what your ultimate goal in life is.
Your marriage, whatever. If there's someone out there with the marriage that you want.
Exactly.
There's someone out there with the business you want.
Someone out there with both. What I was going to say is, while we all want a big yellow binder for our business, we would also like a big yellow binder for our marriage.
Yeah.
And even if we could get one of those, there's kind of a third one required, which is the big yellow binder if you're trying to build a business and have a thriving marriage.
At the same time.
Because those are two difficult things to do that require your time and your attention and your energy. And so how you balance both of those kind of requires a third big yellow binder, and how to succeed with both of those things. And again, is there someone that has done what you're trying to do? Have a hugely successful business and a very healthy, happy marriage? Yes, there are. There's lots of people who've been able to do it.
So it's possible.
So it's possible. So once you know it's possible, then it's a matter of finding the who's who will help you build your roadmap, and finding the principles that you can use to build your own.
To be clear, finding the who's that are going to help you build your own big yellow binder, not give you a big yellow binder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a really important concept, because I know when we embarked on this journey, I just give me the big yellow binder.
Tell me how.
Give me the big
Tell
yellow
me what
binder.
to do and I'll do it.
Give it to me and I'll execute it. You know? Give me the procedure and I'll follow it.
I love a good procedure.
But it's but that's not how it works.
No.
You need to figure out who has what you want, then work with them, and then between the two of you, you can figure out how you can get to where you want to be.
And so, especially with the marriage business combination, I think that's a place we hear a lot of people struggle. Like, that's a place where people really want that really big yellow binder.
I think people are struggling with figuring out how to balance the two.
Because
it's a struggle for them.
I mean, the business takes a lot of time, right? When you're trying to build a business, especially from scratch, from nothing.
It's your baby.
It is. Like, you've birthed this thing, and it takes a lot of time and attention and energy to build it into something that you dream for it. Build it into something that's going to support your life, your family. And so I think there's an element for people of, I'm doing this for my family. Yeah. And so therefore it's okay if I sacrifice them a little bit, because ultimately I'm trying to do this thing over here that's going to support us for a very long time. And so that's where I think some people run into a little bit of trouble, in that I'm doing this for my family. Because this in my mind is in service for my family, then I'm going to miss dinner, and I'm going to miss the soccer game, and I'm going to miss date night. And I know it's not okay, but I justify that it's okay because I'm doing it for them.
And it's short term. They think it's short term. We always think it's short term, and it ends up being longer term. And then that's
because everything takes longer than we think.
Everything. And then but that's when the foundation starts to find cracks. And I think a lot of times that it's only going to be for a short time. I'm going to do this now in service of my family. But that conversation has never happened to have both parties say, yes, that's what we're doing.
We agree to what's going to happen.
We understand that that's what's happening here.
Here's the time frame. Here's the expectation. Yeah.
I think a lot of times it's just on the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur will just say, it's for a short time. And eventually the spouse, it doesn't feel like it's for them. It feels like it's to them. It's done to them. And they feel a little bit of resentment towards the business because it's taken their spot.
Yeah, I think there's
a couple tangible takeaways, things that we can, actions.
Strategies to help with that balance. And I think the first one you just mentioned is, before you make that unilateral decision that I'm just temporarily going to focus all my energy here so that I can be the father, the husband, the provider that I need to be over here, before you make that unilateral decision,
have the conversation.
Have the conversation first. Like, this is going to be a short term, this many months, this is the expectation, this is what, be as transparent as possible in that conversation so you can both agree to what's going to transpire for your marriage, for your family.
Yeah.
Second thing you can do is change your language. When something comes up and you say, the easiest thing you can say is, I don't have time.
No,
how many times a day do you say, I don't have time?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have time for that. Oh, I can't do that, I don't have time. Instead of saying, I don't have time, say, it's not a priority for me.
That hits different.
Oh, does that hit different?
If your wife and kid come to you and say, you know, can we throw the ball today? Can we have, you know, Netflix and chill and pizza night or whatever? And you say, you know, typically you say, I'm sorry, I don't have time for that. I'm working on this. But if you change that language to be, I'm sorry, you're not a priority right now, that stings a little bit to even say that.
Yeah.
Imagine what it feels like to hear that. If you're your 5 or 8-year-old kid waiting to throw the ball with his dad, and dad says you're not a priority.
Yeah.
How's that going to land?
Which to be fair is how the kid or the spouse is interpreting it anyway.
Sure.
So you saying it that way, at least you also hear it that way.
Exactly. Yeah. So I agree that just changing that language will affect your decisions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It'll make your priorities very crystal clear, not just to other people, but
you.
to you, which is even more important.
Yeah.
And then I think another strategy to help with that, so that you can be super clear on what your priorities are, is the day before. What are your big dominoes for the next day?
Yeah.
Like before you go to bed that night, what are the 3 big dominoes that if you accomplish those tomorrow, then your day's a success? If nothing else gets done but those 3 things, then your day's a success.
And to be very clear, make them, you know, in all aspects of life, not just one focused area, like business.
Like all 3 aren't for the business.
Yeah.
If the big dominoes span your life.
Business, relationships, personal. Like, what are you doing for you? What are you doing for your marriage? What are you doing for your business?
Yeah, so I'd write those down the night before so that you are super clear on your priorities. And then the last thing I think that's super helpful is boundaries, which is obviously something that's super easy to say. Just have boundaries, which is, you know, anyone who knows me is something that I struggle with. But the thing about boundaries is that we all only have 168 hours a week, right? We cannot make more time. What we're trying to do is use our time as intentionally as possible to do the things that are the most important to us.
Yeah.
And so that's going to require us saying no to some things. It just is. Like there just isn't enough time to say yes to everything. And so the 3 big dominoes are really helpful so that when you're faced with a decision in your day of something else that comes up, because inevitably it comes up all the time, does this get me closer to or further from my big dominoes for today? And if it's further from my big dominoes for today, then you got to find a way to say not right now, after I do this, or just no, because it's not a priority for me right now.
Yeah. There's also another layer to this whole domino thing that's for another conversation, but your domino should also align up to your big goals. Like, what are you trying to achieve in life and marriage and business at a bigger level, macro level, and then the daily things.
Down.
Yeah, the daily goals should be helping you get there, but discussion for another day.
So there is not going to be a big yellow binder.
There's not one coming.
There isn't one coming.
The good news is you can build your own. You can. You can have a big yellow binder. It's just you're gonna
build it yourself one step at a time.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you can get help with building it.
Yeah.
And that's the key. Is it's going to be done with you, not done for you. Which is
more effective anyway.
It's more empowering. You get to choose. You get to choose your outcomes. You get to choose what you want. You don't have to operate from someone else's playbook of like, this is what they did, so I have to now fit this square hole in a round peg, and it doesn't quite work, and now I'm frustrated, and now I don't know what I'm doing, and you spiral. Whereas if you have someone help you, sit down with you, understand who you are and what you want, they build it with you, it's just so much more effective. And then there's some strategies that you can implement
today,
right now,
to get started trying to help you find that balance and help you build your own. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Road of Life podcast. We will see you in the next episode. See you soon.
Want to continue the conversation and talk to other entrepreneurs who get it? Join our free Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/traveling the road of life. We can't wait to see you in there.
And if you loved today's episode, we'd be so honored if you'd share it with a friend who needs it. Thanks for listening, and until next time, you've got this.